Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco. Dish out on movies. The only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again to talk about Pig. That's right, Pig. With Nicolas Cage and Alex Wolff. Those are some two great actors. You already got a great movie right there. Nicolas Cage and Alex Wolff. I mean, if you just added one other person who was as good as them, it would have been already 5 out of 5. Perfect. Oscar, Best Picture, everything. But regardless, I'm just playing. This movie, it's about a guy in the woods, and he's living all alone, and he's a truffle hunter, and he supplies truffles to Alex Wolff, and he uses this truffle pig, and and then the pig gets stolen. And so he goes with Alex Wolff into the city of Portland to find the pig. That's the movie. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It sounds like, I don't know, it just sounds really like it would be like really but it's not. It's actually a very beautiful, well-constructed movie. It's a very well-done movie. I do have a lot of flaws with it, as I do with movies. It's just like for some reason, like nowadays especially, it's like there's no movie that comes out where I'm just like, yeah, that was good. And that's it. Like, if I say that, too, it's like, then the video's over. And, I'm not going to make up flaws for this movie, because let's be honest, this movie was good. It was okay. And Nicolas Cage did a great job. Alex Wolff did a great job. I thought that it had some decent emotion here and there. And I thought that overall, it was actually a very, nice film. It was a little breath of fresh air. Not a big one. But it's like, nowadays everything is just I just got done watching the Fear Street trilogy where I went and this movie is more like, did you hear that? A little tiny. That's this movie. It's a little tiny breath of fresh air into the film world. And I appreciate it for that. And so I would definitely say it is in the top 10 movies of this year. That being said, the flaws are, it's almost a silent movie. It starts off, it has a very, very slow start, where there's no dialogue basically for 10 minutes or something, and then after that it's very sparing. There's sparing dialogue in this movie, and I think that is not good, because when you can have both non-dialogue scenes and dialogue scenes. You can have a balance. You don't have to be like this, where you don't have a lot of dialogue to make it more in-depth. You can have a lot of dialogue and still do the non-dialogue scenes. And so I really wish that there was more dialogue, because when you have character movies, you always want that bouncing back and forth and back and forth. Like in Breakfast Club. Breakfast Club is a prime example of a great movie that, it had lots of character building, had lots of dialogue, but also had lots of non-dialogue moments too. And I feel like this movie, it should have had more dialogue. And that was a huge flaw, because the movie had a lot of just these silent moments, these pensive moments. I mean, even the, quote, climactic scene ends up being a moment where music blares and then you don't hear anything. And it's like, come on. Really? And then at the end, honestly, I'm not giving away any spoilers, but the movie is kind of pointless, to be honest. It is a good movie because it's got great performances from these two actors, and it's actually a decent movie. It's enjoyable for the most part, and it's well shot, but it's like boring at some points. And I'm sorry, I don't know how else to put it. It's a little boring at some points. And I think that if you had the dialogue there, it wouldn't have been boring. And I also think that the I can't give any more. What I will say, another good thing is the fact that there is a lot of backstory to this character, and so it's really cool how this movie almost feels like a movie that happened after another movie was the movie. Like, this doesn't even feel like the movie. It feels like there was a movie all about this guy, all about his life, and this is almost like what would happen after that, and we get to see that, and I think that that's really cool because this depth that you could feel to this character. There wasn't a lot of explanation for some stuff, and you could just feel it, and there was one moment that I'll just give. It's not spoilers. He goes to his old house back in the city, and I thought that was a really, really like nice scene, and I really liked that scene and stuff like that, where it was like there was all this depth. What didn't work was with that is the villain and the villain's son, Alex Wolff. Uh, the dad is a villain from the beginning when the son is talking about him all the time, and you're sort of building up to him, and it's like, I don't know, it's just he's not a great villain. The whole story with Alex Wolff and his father is just not interesting because it's just kind of the same. It feels kind of like similar to Nicolas Cage's story. It doesn't really feel like interesting in comparison. And so whenever they do stuff with him, they talk about him, it's like, I don't really care, dude. I care about Nicolas Cage and his pig. And there is one, okay, I'll get to that in spoilers, but I'm going to rate this movie. I would give this movie, that's tough. Well, actually, oh wait, I came up with one hours ago. I used to have this breakfast called Cinnamon Toast. And, breakfast is really tough for me. I have a huge, hard time trying to have breakfast because nothing breakfast related I like. Like, it's really hard for me. And so, like, I don't like cereal because cereal's bad for you. I don't like toast. I don't like eggs over time because of the texture and how they get cold so fast and how you have to make them. I don't like protein bars sometimes because I don't like breakfast at all. But I used to love cinnamon toast for a period. And cinnamon toast is basically toast with butter, sugar, and cinnamon. And it tastes phenomenal. It's this nice, beautiful little dish. But ultimately, after you eat it, you kind of feel a little empty. You don't really feel satisfied. You kind of feel like, that was good, but, And so that's what I think about this movie overall. Now let's get to spoilers, damn it. This movie feels pointless because it's all about death. It is a very pensive, sad, depressing film, and there's really not any happiness at all in the movie. Like, at the end, it's not happy at all. There's nothing to be happy about. Nothing. And it's not satisfying. And, movies can be dark, but you gotta have a little escapism. You could have a little happiness at the end. A little bit, a little somewhere, not just this pensive, like, moody. It almost feels kind of like Twilight a little bit, the way it's so moody. And it feels like David Lynch, but without the humor, without the comedy, without the charm. And I didn't like that aspect because his pig, it turns out, it's this weird explanation where like the people who kidnapped her, they handled her roughly and then she died. I thought that was kind of weak. I thought that was trash, not that it had to be like this over the top action movie like we expected from, oh look, it's Nicolas Cage, he's got to get his pig back. Like when you hear that, it seems like it would be a stupid blockbuster type of movie, but it's as I said, it's an art film. It's not like that, and I think that just imagining how cool it would have been if it was a little bit of that at the end, like in Riders of Justice, or that movie is very similar to this movie. If you watch my review, but Riders of Justice is better because Riders of Justice has more dialogue. Riders of Justice has more character, and Riders of Justice has a happy, satisfying ending. It is satisfying. That is, and see, there you go. These movies are very similar. And another thing that I did not like was the villain once again. Oh wait. I wanted to talk about a good thing that I liked. There was one great scene, probably my favorite scene of the film. Well, two favorite scenes. One of them was they kind of copied the Goonies, or they had a little reference to the Goonies, I guess, or kind of, where Nicolas Cage, he doesn't have a ride because he wants to be alone and he wants to go off and do something himself. And so he runs up to this kid and steals his bicycle, and then the kid's like, hey! And Nicolas Cage just screams at the top of his lungs. That was fucking hilarious. And that really reminded me of the Goonies, just, ah! And stole his bicycle. That was funny. And then my favorite scene, for sure, it was the most dialogue heavy scene. And it was the scene where they're in the pretentious restaurant. And this woman is like, in order to appreciate things that you have to look at things in a different, like this pretentious dialogue. And then she serves them these weird looking, like, deconstructed scallops. I was like, what the F is that? Oh God, come on. You don't need to do that. That's not necessary. And then he just picks it up with his hands and eats it. And he's not impressed at all because he's actually a chef, a former chef. It's like John Wick, but with a chef instead of a assassin or whatever, mercenary. And then he actually has the head chef come out, and he just destroys the head chef and says, you used to work at my restaurant, and when I fired you, you told me you wanted to open a pub, and now look where you are. You're serving this shitty, pretentious food to these people who don't even like you. They're just doing this. They're just eating this food, being in this restaurant to look good, to have a good image. And I thought that scene was brilliant. And what do you know? That was the most dialogue-heavy scene. I wonder why it was so good. Wink, wink. And then later on in the film, I just want to get to how the film concludes because it is ridiculously weird. You'd think he's going to do something violent to get his pig back, like a John Wick type of thing. But instead, he makes dinner for the bad guy. And I just thought that was hilarious. Making this, like, special, nice little dinner for him. And then he's like, and Alex is like, Dad, I made you dinner. And they're all sitting together eating. That was really... And then the villain starts crying. And then he breaks down and reveals the truth. Like, that's such a weird, yet interesting and good scene. I really like that scene, too. But overall, another thing is rewatchability. I probably wouldn't ever rewatch this movie again, to be quite honest. And maybe it's just because I have a lot of movies to watch. I gotta watch a lot of movies. I'm behind. I gotta watch like 5 movies to review them, and I don't really plan on watching this movie again. But I still would recommend you check it out and give it a shot because you might really like it. A lot of people love it. They give it 10 out of 10, 8 out of 10. So, who am I to say? Please like this video if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. And then comment. Tell me what you thought of Pig. What did you think of the deconstructed scallops? Ugh. Deconstructed food is weird. Why would you want to eat deconstructed scallops? Ugh. Bye, everybody. See you soon.